Hello everyone. Now today I'm going to talk on application of sedimentology in prospecting of hydrocarbons. Previously, while discussing lab techniques, I have briefly discussed this topic, but today we will see in detail how sedimentology can be of use in prospecting of hydrocarbons. Now here the word prospecting is important because oil and gas production involves various stages. The first stage is prospecting, the next one is exploration, and the final stage is development, which is also called as production. So prospecting means locating for a particular area where there is possibility of finding hydrocarbons. So we carry out various surveys like geological survey, mapping, or we go for geophysical surveys like gravity survey, magnetic survey. If gravity and magnetic surveys are giving good results, then finally we go for seismic survey. Seismic survey gives information about the subsurface structures, whether there is a possibility of finding any oil and gas trap. It doesn't give information about the presence of hydrocarbons. So direct information cannot be derived from these prospecting methods, but we can just locate the area. We can find out whether that basin or that location can hold hydrocarbons. So during prospecting, how sedimentology can be of use. Apart from that, although it is not part of your syllabus, but sedimentology is useful during exploration period as well as during the development of oil and gas well. So sedimentology is not limited to the prospecting period only. So as I told you, prospecting involves geological mapping or seismic surveys during which we study different sedimentary rocks to find the presence of traps or any other geological feature, or we study the stratigraphy, all those things. Okay, so broadly, if you see here the geological environments, there are three major geological environments that you know. The igneous environment, where we study physico-chemical conditions under which igneous rocks are formed. Then there are metamorphic environments, where we study pressure and temperature conditions under which different types of metamorphic rocks are formed. And then there are sedimentary environments, where we study erosional and depositional processes which result into the formation of sedimentary rocks. So occurrence of hydrocarbons is associated with sedimentary rocks. Now what is the reason, that also we will discuss. But rarely we find hydrocarbons associated with igneous or metamorphic rocks. From the origin up to the accumulation and final production, most of the time oil and gas is found in sedimentary rocks. Therefore we study sedimentology, being a petroleum geologist, not igneous or metamorphic geology. So therefore, as it is stated here, geology of hydrocarbons is closely related to sedimentology. Now see, first of all, you need to know how petroleum originates. What is the process of formation of oil and gas? Now this process is lengthy, which takes millions of years. Now, initially, it is the theory says that the plants and organisms, the remains of plants and organisms, get accumulated at the base of the basin or at the floor of the ocean. And for the conversion of this organic matter into petroleum, the necessary requirement is occurrence of anaerobic environment, or you can say the environment which lacks oxygen. There should be lack of oxygen. If oxygen is present, the in presence of oxygen, the microbacteria or organisms may disintegrate the organic matter and it will no longer be available to produce petroleum. So for generation of hydrocarbons, the environment should be anaerobic, which lacks oxygen. Then this remains of plants and animals, they get buried over a layer of sediments. As a result of layer of sediments or overburden pressure, temperature rises. So at a specific temperature and pressure conditions, the organic matters or the organic matter converts into kerogen. So for conversion of organic matter into kerogen, a specific temperature range is required, which is close to 160 degree or something, which is called as oil window. So if the temperature is too high, the organic matter will not be converted into petroleum, neither when the temperature is too low. So this kind of condition can only be felicitated in sedimentary rocks, not in igneous or metamorphic rocks, which are involved with such a processes where temperatures are very high. So sedimentary rocks can only provide the oil window range where organic matter can be converted into kerogen, and the kerogen is further converted into petroleum, either oil or gas, depending on the type of kerogen which is formed. So see, the process of formation of petroleum from organic matter is happening in sediments within sedimentary rocks, which are transported and deposited along with the organic matter, and this is not possible in case of igneous rocks and metamorphic rocks. Therefore sedimentology is important to study. Now before we go to this, I'll show you one animation. Formation of oil and gas takes millions of years. It begins with the settling of algae, plants, and remains of organisms, and this organic matter under anaerobic condition is converted into kerogen as shown here, and with increasing temperature and overburden pressure, this kerogen is converted into oil or gas. So this oil or gas is nothing but an hydrocarbon which consists of hydrogen and carbon. Now with increasing pressure and the hydrocarbons being lighter, they move upward towards the surface and sometimes seen on the surface in the form of seepages. Now in few rare instances, if there is any impervious layer of rock on the top, the further movement of oil and gas is restricted by the cap rock, and these hydrocarbons are preserved in the reservoir rocks in the subsurface. So in brief, this is the process of formation of hydrocarbons. So here we can say that the life of hydrocarbon or petroleum is associated with three type of rock system. The first one is source rock, the rock within which the hydrocarbons are generated. Once these hydrocarbons are formed, due to the overburden pressure, the petroleum is squeezed out, the hydrocarbon is squeezed out of this source rock, and it moves upwards towards the surface. And if there is any impervious layer on the top in the form of cap rock, which restricts the further movement of oil and gas, it is stored within the reservoir rock. So any porous and permeable rock can be called as reservoir rock, and an impervious or non-porous rock becomes a cap rock. So an illustration of a petroleum system is shown here in the diagram. You can see the source rock at the bottom, and due to the presence of fault which acts as a permeability barrier, the oil has moved upwards to be stored in a reservoir rock which is just below an impervious cap rock. And we have to locate this trap with the help of various techniques and then drill a well to produce this to the surface. So here you can see that a source rock usually is a shale rock. Then a reservoir rock could be sandstone, limestone, or dolomite. And a cap rock is in the form of shale or evaporites, which is impervious, which can restrict the movement of oil and gas. Now it is not necessary that reservoir rock is always a sedimentary rock. a fractured granite or fractured metamorphic rock or any other kind of rock can act as a reservoir rock which has porosity and permeability, either inherent porosity and permeability or fractured porosity, induced porosity and permeability. But broadly, if you see, oil or petroleum is always associated with a sedimentary rock from its origin up to its accumulation, and finally when we produce, until then it is associated with sedimentary rocks. Therefore it is very important to understand and study different types of sedimentary rocks, like their texture, structure, different types of sedimentary structures, the diagenesis, their contents, and all the possible features of sedimentary rocks. Now, once the geological surveys are carried out, geological mapping is done, and geophysical surveys like gravity, magnetic, seismic surveys are done, and you have understood the depositional environment, reconstructed the depositional environment, and it is understood that that particular area is capable of holding oil and gas. Then we go for drilling. An illustration of drilling procedure is shown here in this animation, and you can see the circulating system, to be specific here. Now in brief, I'll tell you what happens. When we go for drilling, we use drill pipe, and at the bottom of the drill pipe a drill bit is installed, as you can see here, which is magnified. Now the purpose of the drill bit is to cut the rock cuttings, to disintegrate the rock. Only if we disintegrate the rock we'll be able to drill further. And it is also important that the drill cuttings which are being produced need to be brought on the surface. If the drill cuttings are not brought on the surface, the drill bit will get stuck inside the borehole, and therefore mud is pumped through the drill pipe, inside the drill pipe. As you can see here in the illustration, arrows are shown along the drill bit, along the drill pipe, through which a mud is pumped, and this mud brings the drill cuttings to the surface from the outside of the drill pipe, as you can see here, through the annular space. And these drill cuttings are brought to the surface, and the cuttings are separated from the mud. Then these drill cuttings are washed and observed in the mud logging unit. You know what is the mud logging unit, I have told you. So this is, in brief, is the circulating system where we bring the drill cuttings from the bottom of the borehole to the surface and then observe these cuttings under the microscope. I'll show you one more animation where you'll be able to understand this in much better way. Here you can see how the mud comes on the surface at the shale shaker, where it is separated from the drill cuttings, and drill cuttings are collected at the shale shaker. You find out where is the shale shaker in this diagram, and then this mud is further refined and it goes into the mud pit, and then again it is pumped back inside the borehole. Then it goes to the standpipe, then hose, then it goes to the top drive, and through the drill pipe it goes to the drill bit. Then again it collects the drill cuttings, and through the annular space these drill cuttings along with the mud come to the surface and again separated at the shale shaker. So same mud is circulated again and again by removing drill cuttings. So again briefly I'll tell you, once the area is delineated, we drill wildcat wells. We drill at will at any place, and as these drill cuttings are produced on the surface, lithologs are prepared, and we get more information about the subsurface. And after drilling number of wildcat wells, we get to know about the reservoir structure, in which direction it is thinning, in which direction its thickness is increasing, what is the porosity, what is the permeability, what kind of sedimentary trap is present, what is the source rock, what is the reservoir rock. So all these things can be understood by drilling wildcat wells, and then we go for full-fledged exploration. After the uh, substantial amount of data is generated through wildcatting. So this is the exploration period during which sedimentology is useful. As I told you, it is useful during prospecting also, and also during production. To increase the production of any well, we need to know about the type of reservoir rock is present. If there is sandstone, what kind of enhanced oil recovery techniques we can use. If there is carbonate, what kind of stimulation techniques can be used. So the production period is also uh, associated with the understanding of the reservoir or uh, any other kind of sedimentary rock which is present there. So it is shown here in this illustration. The three phases are represented on the left hand side: the exploration, the development, and the final development. So exploration, as we discussed previously, begins with the basin analysis, then comes prospecting, and once the prospecting is done, we go for appraisal stage, that is wildcatting, then development stage, early development, exploration, late development. So during all these processes, we need to know the geology of sedimentary rock, which is sedimentology. So this is all about the application of sedimentology in petroleum industry, and in the next video I'll discuss the new topic. Thank you.